Hello, fellow students. I am here today because of one purpose, to make the differences indifferent. I am here today because I want to talk about bullying foreign students. And I am here today because I want to let you think about that. Now, I lived in the Netherlands for 3 years, and I want to share my story in 3 parts. How I've learned about bullying, how I've experienced bullying, and how I've managed to handle that. Now, as a Peruvian girl, I was always hesitating to study in the Netherlands. My friends who left the island told me it was not a road for the weak. Whichever path you take, there is discrimination everywhere. They were teased for their accent and their grammar. Now, I've never known discrimination on Aruba because the land is filled with people of different race, ethnicity, and religion. So this to me, I just couldn't understand it. Have you ever felt similar that way going to a new country? Think about it. Even after all those horror stories, I mustered up my courage and I took that plane to the land of the tulips. I applied for journalism and I was the only international student there. So I was a little nervous about it. In my first weeks, I had to write an article about Job Cohen, which is a leader in a political party. Since I did not follow politics in the Netherlands, I just thought I'd pronounce it the way I know it, Cohen, like the famous Olympic figure skater Sasha Cohen. I proudly presented my article, but I heard giggling all throughout the room. Then someone told me I mispronounced the last name, so they teased me for the rest of the week. But what was worse was nobody wanted to do projects with me. They didn't want to sacrifice a grade for someone whose grammar isn't in tip-top shape. I felt like that last piece of the birthday cake, which nobody really minds to eat. But it wasn't until the last few months of school when I realized those horror stories were coming to life. I handed in my articles, but I always received insufficient because of my bad grammar. To me, my grammar was improving, but to my coach, it wasn't even worth a second look. He said, "Your first language isn't Dutch, right? Then what are you doing here? You always make grammar mistakes, and you obviously aren't Dutch. So I don't think you should be here. You should go back and do something else, because here you will achieve nothing." Now, you might think that is a harsh form of criticism, right? You're wrong. When somebody deliberately says, "You shouldn't belong here," or "You should go back to your country," that is a strong form of bullying. And it is the most used phrase between bullies all over the world. Now, have you said something similar to that and never thought of the consequences? Think about it. You might be hurting someone. Now, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money to improve my Dutchness. What that means is I needed to get rid of my Caribbean accent and get the Dutch one. Many foreign students, they try and act and become like that dominant culture to fit in and prevent bullying. I wish I didn't have to spend all that time and money just to fit in and be accepted. My experience was pretty harmful in its own way, but it didn't have major consequences. Making fun of accents and pronunciation can make a person very insecure. This can cause anxiety disorder, but don't let that stop you. Some people are so afraid they are bullied out of school. I've seen my Aruban friends come back to Aruba not because school is hard and not even homesickness, but because they were bullied by Dutch people who made them feel like they did not belong there. But don't think that's the cherry on top of the cake. Some people have committed suicide solely for the purpose of being bullied by their accent and pronunciation. This needs to stop. We need to take a stand and treat everyone as an equal. We need to get rid of that prejudice because of the differences. And we have to think before we say something. Just because people have different accents does not mean they are different as human beings. Just because people have different pronunciations does not mean they're different as human beings. And just because people have different use of grammar does not mean they're different as human beings. Now let me leave you with just one last question. Can you make those differences indifferent? Think about it. Thank you.